Mr. Osian Williams.
Sundry Style.
Sundry Style with Osian Williams.
So Ben, thanks for joining us. To start off with, I was interested to learn that you studied fine art at the University of Leeds.
I did.
And I wondered what the jump was for you from going, from producing art to going into marketing and PR for fashion magazines.
So I studied fine art at University of Leeds. It was the only subject I was really good at school, to be honest. And had a great time there, but I actually didn't finish. I didn't graduate. I kind of dropped out, withdrew to go into, not to go into fashion, but I just dropped out for a mixture of reasons, but then realized I wanted to go into fashion, something I had always been interested in since my early teens. And so I don't have an education in what I do now at all. So it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Definitely was dropping out of university to pursue a career that I've always kind of had an interest in. But yeah, like I said, I didn't have any formal education in what I do now. So I've learned on the job, and I've learned through 6.5 years or whatever it might be now.
And you've you worked at loads of magazines, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what was was there a plan before you launched yourself into this world? Like you were going to work at all these different magazines, or did you just find yourself jumping from?
It was kind of a job by job kind of thing. I didn't know anyone I didn't have anyone I could speak to who'd done anything similar. So I didn't have any kind of advice. I couldn't get any advice from, I don't know, members of my family or friends or anything like that. So I kind of just learned as I went along, and I just took any opportunity that came my way. I applied to, I worked at 6, maybe 7 magazines, I think. And the first one was, I should probably go back. I actually started in PR and marketing. So I live in London, and my sister was living in Brixton at the time. And I just dropped out of university. I didn't really have anything going for myself, and I needed to start working. And my sister came across a company called Rich London PR, still going, still in Brixton, looking for a showroom assistant, basically. And so I called them up, said I'm interested. Went there the following day, got the internship the day after that, and I was there for 6 months, and wasn't particularly taxing. I was kind of just managing the showroom, and that means just kind of making sure all clothes are on the hangers and all neatly spread apart and all that kind of thing, making lots and lots of tea, which I became very, very good at. And going to the post office, all these kind of menial tasks, but it's all part of a journey. I'd say probably 95% of people in the fashion industry have done those sorts of jobs starting out. And then I got into blogging whilst I was there. But my background in fashion was certainly down on, like, if you look at kind of the spectrum of style, was definitely more towards streetwear. And that's what I was really interested in when I was a teenager. And so I kind of started blogging about that. And then I kind of really liked writing, but I was never good at it at school. I didn't do English at A level. I think I had my own class when I was doing GCSEs. I was like really, really quite poor at it, quite dyslexic, I guess. But I really enjoyed it, and I found it really rewarding. And then I started looking for kind of magazine internships, and got one and started writing. I think I was writing, this was for a magazine called Jocks and Nerds, which I think is still going. I think it stopped, and I think it's been relaunched. I was writing kind of like 3 online articles a day, which is quite a lot at the time for me. And they weren't particularly long. They're probably like 300 words, 400 words each. But I was kind of given instructions from the editorial team there, and like, right, this press release just come in. Please, can you reword it and get it up online? So it was kind of, it was very, very straightforward. but it was always rewarding to kind of see your name, not necessarily in print, but see your name on a published article. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I kind of got a bit of a bug for it, if you like. And I was there for 6 months. But when I was there, actually, I wasn't doing just fashion. It was a lot to do with art as well, kind of reviewing exhibitions and books and films and all kind of things. Jocks and Nerds was very much like a culture magazine rather than a fashion magazine. But the fashion was always what I was interested in. And then after that, I went to the Evening Standard magazine and was doing a mixture of writing and styling there, assisting the menswear editor. And that was a weekly magazine, so it was really fast paced, and it was very kind of very corporate as well. In a huge office building with loads of, like, the I think my desk was sat next to like the finance team at the Independent. I mean, it wasn't particularly an inspiring workplace, but it was great to kind of get that experience working somewhere like that. So I guess what you learn from it is that you want to stay away from that, if that makes sense. Staying kind of a bit more niche, a bit more kind of inspiring atmosphere. And then after that, I went to another magazine called Ports Magazine, and I was doing mainly fashion there. And I had a really great mentor there. And I kind of went there to basically learn underneath him. And that's when I think things started picking up a bit, and I started kind of building a network of contacts at PR agencies and brands and everything like that. So that's when it kind of really started as being a menswear journalist. I don't know what year that would have been. It feels like a very long time ago.
So I suppose you really, not only in terms of journalism, learning on the job, but I suppose you were sort of building up a bank of knowledge of fashion and streetwear, because, you say from your early teens you were interested in fashion, but was it only really when you joined these magazines that you launched head on into this world and really started to immerse yourself in it?
Yeah, I guess prior to all that, I had kind of a surface level interest in it, and then I think as you start working in these magazines, you actually understand the history behind some of these brands and actually like how their products are made in certain ways, and so your level of your knowledge becomes even more in depth. So that's what, again, like I said, that's when it kind of really got fascinating for me, because you had to learn this stuff. You need to have your knowledge there, if that makes sense. But then it started to again really pick up after that magazine when I went to the Rake, and I was there for about 3 years, and kind of moved up the ranks and eventually left as style editor. And with that, I was kind of out and about a lot, traveling a lot, visiting brands, visiting manufacturers and factories and mills and all that kind of stuff. So then you're really seeing firsthand how these beautiful items are made. So that's when the knowledge really kicks in, I guess, and then informs everything you write. And so you can write as an informed journalist rather than just kind of rewording a press release, as a lot of people do and have to do. It's just simple and easy.
And was this internationally? Were you going to mills in Italy, for example, or what was it like?
Yeah. I was going to Italy a lot. I think my final year there, I was probably in Italy 6 times that year. Twice in Naples, twice in Florence, up in Venice, and then some other places I can't really recall. But that's visiting, factories, mills, going to trade shows. There's a trade show that happens twice a year in Florence called Pitti Uomo. Happens in January and then in June. So I was there in January, but June got postponed to September because of Corona, and then that's been cancelled at all, completely. So that's when you kind of really you meet the brands there. You're not just you're actually seeing them firsthand, and they're walking you through their collection, and you feel very important. And that was when that's when it was really interesting. Kind of hearing firsthand from these designers or from these creatives that, like, what's actually gone into this collection and everything like that. And then you come away from that, and then 6 months later you're writing about it. So when I was there in January, they were showing autumn winter 2021. So now all that stuff is now coming into store. So I'm kind of trying to find my notebook from January, and now kind of picking up ideas and then starting to reach out to magazines and pitch them, basically.
That's interesting, because I didn't know you would know about this collection, so in advance of 6 months, and you're now reaching out to magazines, and because you went in January as a freelancer, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did, which was a real change of pace. I mean, before, when I was there, I kind of had back-to-back meetings every half an hour from 9 till 6.
Mm.
You're exhausted, and you're running off purely like espresso and just like a little bit of water. You don't really eat. And then at night, then you just die now. So it was a different experience. I went at my own pace, and went and saw the brands that I actually wanted to see, not because I had to go see them. So as I definitely enjoyed it a lot more as a freelancer there.
And what brands were you checking out?
Gosh, so my role there this year was a bit. Because what I do now, so I'm a journalist now, so I write for magazines, and then I also am part of a kind of content creative studio, and then I also do some consultancy work with another business. So my role there was kind of finding new brands, finding cool things, and then taking that away. And then another role there was trying to like new business acquisition for the studio, and then another one there was kind of a bit more PR, marketing, and working with a client, a brand there. So what I was doing was kind of it was threefold basically. But the brands that I can remember, like I said, I need to go back into my notebook. A lot's happened this year, so I don't really have a lot of examples to kind of reel off for you right now.
So, are there any brands from the top of your head that are exciting you right now that you would want to write about?
Definitely. There's Rubato in Sweden. They're really cool. They started off as a kind of knitwear specialist, but I think they're going to expand the range outwards into a full collection. They're really, really cool. Very affordable, made in the Borders in Scotland. That's a great one. There's two in Naples that I'm particularly fond of, called Depotrio and Gaiola. They're both actually part of the same company, made in the same place, but at different price points for kind of different consumers. But it's kind of like relaxed, casual tailoring. Basically, it's not stuffy. It's fun. It's exciting. It's comfortable, and it gives kind of classic menswear a new idea of relevance today. And I think a lot of brands don't do that very well. So they're great. What else? Another Swedish brand, some friends of mine, they just launched a brand called Casalantic. There's two brothers, and their family business is a vintage dealership. And they've got, their ancestors are from Morocco, so they've launched a line of kind of basically 3 cuts of white cotton trousers and 2 cuts of shorts, and I'm really interested to see how that develops. Over here in the UK, Drake's, everyone says it for a reason. They're just killing it. I'm interested to see how that kind of develops going forward because of coronavirus. Lots of brands have had to kind of really pull back on their collections, and then how you communicate that is going to be quite interesting. Another one, The Workers Club, founded by Adam and Charlotte Cameron. I'm good friends with them, and I think they're just great people, and they really champion manufacturing, and they want to work with the best manufacturers they can possibly work with, and they make a great product at a great price point. And it's really well informed, very well researched, and fabrics are the most crucial component of what they do. So they will work for a lot of mills to make exclusive cloths, and then from that they can make beautiful product. So those are probably ones top of my head. I do a lot of work with an eyewear brand called Kirk Originals, and I think they hands down are the best eyewear brand in the UK, hands down. I went to their factory a couple months ago, and it's really incredible how how well made these things are. I mean, it starts off with just a block of acetate, and then they just sculpt it away to make a beautiful pair of sunglasses. It's a skill that not many people can do. There's probably less than 10 people in the UK who can make sunglasses like that. So those are probably few.
Yeah, that's it's interesting you brought up so many Swedish names.
Yeah.
Can you think why Sweden is really, you know, producing all these new young brands at the moment?
I don't know. I think an element of it is like it's not as competitive there as it is over here. So I think it's probably a bit easier to make a name for yourself. But then there's that kind of Swedish, there's that Scandinavian attitude towards life, and it's living in Sweden, whether it's in Stockholm or Gothenburg or Malmo or wherever. It's a lot different to living here in London. So I think you're kind of, the foundations to create something really cool are probably a bit stronger. But as to why they do it, I don't know, but I'd love to know, because if you can take from that and then do it over here, then I think maybe you've got a good thing going. But they're just cool people in general, and so it just works for some reason. I don't know. I'll ask them, but I'll ask them what's your secret, and hopefully they'll tell me.
I'm also interested in you mentioned that you're working for a creative and development agency. Is it Studio Grafts?
Yeah.
Of which you're head of content. And
yeah.
I wondered what that entails. Could you describe the role for me?
Yeah, so Studio Grafts founded by a great friend of mine called Sean, who's an incredibly talented photographer, but he's even more incredible at how his work ethic and actually how capable he is with kind of digital marketing and website development and e-commerce systems and everything like that. So I think where we come in to the industry now is that it's never been more important for brands to have a very, very good online presence. The high street has taken a huge hit. Physical retail, whilst I think there's actually space for it to be salvaged, I think that's taking a massive hit. So as a result, brands need to be really, really good online. They need a really good website with amazing UX, with amazing photography, amazing copy, something to really entice a potential customer to buy a product. So where we come in is we're kind of e-commerce specialists, I guess, and we do full stack development. And that side of the business is something I do not understand at all, because it's just so technical. So there's 4 of us, and so what my role there is kind of going to the likes of Pitti Uomo in Florence, or reaching into my contact book and kind of looking at brands' websites and kind of working out whether there are ways in which we can better them and improve their systems and improve their image. And so we'll make contact with them, send them a proposal, and fingers crossed they kind of want to work with us. And so we'll do a complete redesign of their whole entire website, and then I'll redo all the copywriting on the website. Start going full steam ahead with their journal. Every brand needs a journal, and kind of just improving that image to their business. And then from that, aside from the website development, in terms of content, we do a lot of these multi-brand productions, which I'm unaware of anyone else is doing it. And this comes back to like all brands need content. I don't really like the word content because it's just so overused, but probably means I need to come up with a better word. But all brands need content. I mean, you need to have newness on your Instagram channels, on your website, everything. And so if we could then take from that, we take a load of brands into an environment, whether it's in Scotland or in the Outer Hebrides or wherever, and take 6 to 8 brands which cover footwear, denim, outerwear, knitwear, accessories, everything, and then there'll be a rate for a certain amount of images, and there'll be different tiers to it, and then we'll issue them. We'll shoot for 2 days, I've modelled them in the past, but I'm looking to move away from that and just actually style it. But now we've kind of got a proof of concept, I guess. So we're doing one in about 6 weeks' time, which should be really cool. And then we come away from that weekend, and then we distribute all these images to all these brands, and they can use them however they want. So whether that's for their Instagram, for newsletter marketing, for homepage banners, for advertising artwork, everything. And it's been really, really well received. And it kind of came about organically. So that is probably one of my main roles as head of content at Studio Craft. But I've only been involved since probably like February this year. So it's picking up, and the remainder of this year is looking really, really busy, which is good. But that's it's probably something I'll do full time eventually, while still writing for other magazines a bit on the side.
And you say you're styling in these shoots. Does that mean you're taking items from the brand's collection and saying wear this, or yeah?
So what we've done in the past, when I've kind of styled and modeled it, I guess, myself, but it will always be with it's a collaborative approach to this. So we'll say to the brands, what are you trying to push at the moment? Give us 10 products that you really, really need support on, and we'll take that and we'll make it work with the rest of them. So like we're really trying to work with these people and just do the best thing that's possible for them. So it's working with what they've got in their current collection, or maybe they want to use their kind of core product. It really depends on the brand. But 9 times out of 10, it's the newness that's coming in that they need content for. Because lots of these brands are quite small, so they don't have internal teams to produce this sort of stuff. So that's where it comes in, kind of outsourcing it to an agency like ourselves.
And what's the dynamic between you as the stylist and the photographer? Do you direct them, or do you kind of leave them to do leave them to it?
I've worked with Sean for 3 years now, so we know exactly how we know how to work together, basically. But it's there's always a shot list. I mean, if we're doing one of these multi-brand productions and the models have got a full look on, and there are 5 brands there, each brand needs its own unique shots from this. So we work from a top down, basically. So he knows exactly what we're looking for. He's definitely more of the creative person than I am. So I just make them I just try and make them look good, basically, and then Sean kind of does the rest for me, and then I get the credit. So it works well. No, I'm joking, but yeah.
And so if all these brands need unique shots, does that mean you need to go to different locations for each shoot? No,
it just means just repositioning the camera, basically.
Okay.
I mean, but the model won't just be stood in one place the whole time. We will move around that small vicinity around there, and then we'll break the look down, make sure we've got everything, go to our checklist, make sure. So it's really well organised in that respect. And then we'll change and we'll move somewhere else, and then we'll repeat throughout the day. And so we always overshoot, which is great. So, and I think it's always kind of over delivering on those sorts of things is always really important, because people always come back to you, I think. So that's how we kind of do it. Yeah.
Changing tack a little bit, or quite a lot. I was interested to read one of your articles about Savile Row and the future of it in post COVID, if we ever get to a post COVID era. And you mentioned Tom Sweeney's new store opening, and I wondered if you'd had a chance to visit at all.
I have. I went on Tuesday this week. I think Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we're doing press appointments for people to come see it, and I think it's basically finished. I was talking to the Sweeney guys, and they were saying that there's a few more things they need to basically finish within it, but they're so small and insignificant you'd never notice. but it's there, and it's a great thing. It's 4 stories, very clean, very light. The autumn winter collection is really, really strong this season. I mean, those guys, they're celebrating 10 years this year. And so you come in, and then on the ground floor and first floor, you've got ready to wear. In the basement, you've got the workshop. So I think they have 6 tailors working down there, doing all the bespoke. And then you've also got a barber shop in the back. Brent Pankhurst, who's a bit of a legend in the kind of the barbering world in London. So he's got 2 chairs down there. And then if you go out to the top floor, this is kind of for their kind of VIP customers and everything like that. You kind of got a bit of a lounge bar, if you like. And they've got a big TV there, and they want to screen like the football and the boxing and kind of get everyone there and have a fun time. But they can also use it for meetings. Not the Sweeney guys. Like if you're one of their really important customers, you can also go there for a meeting, use that space. So it's cool. It's a step in the right direction to kind of make Savile Row great again. It's been in a really, really precarious situation the last few years, and especially now given coronavirus. So it's on Old Burlington Street, so it's not actually on Savile Row, but it's close enough to be part of what you call Savile Row, if you like.
And do you think this is a sort of what these tailors will work towards in terms of not only having the store to walk into, but also a cocktail bar and all these extra add-ons?
Yeah, it's exactly what you need. It needs to become more of a destination, and if you can then offer those sorts of things, then it's going to become more of a destination. It's as simple as that. It needs to be cool to have a row. It can't just survive off having these very, very old tailoring houses and for that to be enough to draw people to it, because a lot of people don't care about how old a company is. But I care about how old a company is. I find that very, very interesting. But if you're new to tailoring, you don't really care. Well, so you might not really care. So, but if you've got a very, very cool cocktail bar or very, very good cafe or restaurant or anything like that, then it makes it more of an experience overall. So I haven't actually been there, but on Savile Row there's this new cafe that's just opened up called The Service, partly to do with the Tailor Cat and the Dandy. And I haven't been there, but I've seen a lot on Instagram. It seems to be really well received, and that's just another step in the right direction. But I had lunch with another tailoring house on Wednesday, and they've got plans of kind of galvanizing the whole street, going to the landlords, basically, because the biggest problem with Savile Row is that the rents are they're too high, and they're not sustainable for craft businesses. So there needs to be a massive restructuring in terms of that. And as a result, they need the whole street needs to come together and complain, but also put forward a solution. It's no good complaining unless you have a solution. And so plans are underway. So it could be a really, really interesting 6 months. And I think they'll put it off. They have to. There's too much history on that street. I mean, for it to disappear and just turn into an extension of Regent Street, it will just be a disaster, a real disaster. Mm-hmm. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that.
And is it also unusual for Tom Sweeney to be offering ready-to-wear clothes as well?
No, I don't think it is, because it's the start of the customer's journey. I mean, when you finish school and you're going into this, it's different now. But like your first suit is not going to be a bespoke suit. Mm. It's never like, and if your first suit is, then you're very, very fortunate. But young guys don't really need bespoke. I mean, their body shapes aren't so completely ridiculous that they require a bespoke suit to make them appear very, very, very normal, if you like. So ready to wear is a crucial part of kind of the customer's journey, because he'll cherish that suit because it'll be his first suit, and then he'll move up into made to measure or made to order, and then from that he'll start to appreciate the craft and the quality and the style of it, and then he'll move into bespoke. So Savile Row needs that. Needs more people like Tom Sweeney. I mean, Drake's is on Savile Row, and it doesn't do bespoke, it does ready to wear, but it also has a made to measure offering and a made to order offering. Because not everyone can afford bespoke. It's expensive, so it's vital, and I think more of it will start appearing in the next few years, definitely.
And do you think do you put the price down to the fact that to produce these beautiful garments, you know, there is a certain amount of work that has to go into it, and therefore the price is justifiable, or do you see it more in the way that you know, James Sleater, the Cad and Dandy, has been sort of streamlining the business side of bespoke tailoring, and he's actually offering suits for, you know, maybe four times cheaper, you know.
Well, it's quite a contentious subject, this. I mean, Savile Row started off as bespoke only. Made to measure came in the last 50, 60 years, let's say. Well, I don't actually know the answer to that. But it's just quite tricky as to how you market it. I mean, bespoke suit needs to be made entirely on Savile Row. If it's not, if you're then outsourcing parts of it overseas or to other areas in the UK or in London, it's not bespoke. I mean, and that's what the SRB, the Savile Row Bespoke Association, is set up to kind of enforce and manage. It's like you can't call something bespoke unless it's basically, you can't call it a Savile Row bespoke suit unless it's made on Savile Row. If it's made, if elements of it are made overseas, fine, great. Your margins are, you're offering a product that's a lot more affordable than if it wasn't. Great, that's a good thing. But it comes down to provenance and where is everything being made, and I think people need to be a bit more open about that rather than kind of disguise it, which some people do. But yeah, that's what I'd probably say.
I guess it's the same for calling champagne.
Yeah. That's a good analogy for it. It's like it's two different things. It's two different things, and that needs to be clearer. It's more black. It's more black and white. It's not black and white enough. If that makes sense.
Yes. No, it needs to be more transparent. So you're writing about Savile Row, you're writing about Pitti Uomo, you're doing a bit of freelance, you're consulting, you're head of content. What does your daily routine look like as, you know, as a journalist, or, you know, as a consultant?
Are you talking these days, or is this before all that Corona stuff?
Let's have both. Let's and see what the contrast is.
But before, I wasn't in my flat as much as I am now. So it's really different. I think that's what's great about the industry I work in, is that every day is different, and it can be, the following days can look very, very normal, but then you could get an email in the morning and you've got to go into town and you've got to go see someone. So you're always out and about, you're always meeting people. I'm a bit of an early bird, so I'm up at probably 5:30 most mornings, and so that's where I kind of get all my to-do lists, emails, all that done, so I don't have to be faffing around on my phone and around town and all that kind of thing. So I kind of get myself organised, set up for the day. I always, if I'm writing late at night, I always do quite a firm proof in the morning, because no, you've been looking at a screen all day, so you're probably writing gibberish. So I always try and proof everything I might have written the day before in the morning, and then at some point in the day come back to it and go from there. Before this, there were a lot more press appointments, a lot more coffees and lunches and all that kind of thing, which were always great fun. Always really enjoyed those. So it was different. And then maybe once a week, I was going to go visit a manufacturer of some sort, whether that's up in Northampton or visiting a tailor on Savile Row. I was probably doing one of those a week. Now though, I'm in my flat a lot, and I don't mind it. I mean, I like being freelance, so I don't mind being in my flat working. I can get a lot done here, so definitely being a lot more productive, and probably working less hours now than I was before coronavirus, because I still for every hour you're not at your computer, you need to make it up at your computer. I think. You need to be at your. I think you need to be at your computer maybe 6 hours a day if you're a journalist, because it starts piling up all those hours you're away from it, and then you're behind on deadlines and all that kind of thing. So you've just got to be really, really good at time management, which is difficult. I struggle with it a lot, as does everyone, I'm sure. So every day is different, and it's quite a boring answer to that, but it's true. Every day is different.
So you must miss, meeting all these people. Was that just for, for informing your articles, or is that were those your clients as well?
Yeah, but it's more of a social thing. I think the fashion industry is a very sociable industry. You got to be a people's person to work in this industry. If you're not, then you're screwed. If you're not, you're in the wrong industry. So it was. I miss that side. You make a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances and stuff like that. So it's nice to kind of catch up with them and not necessarily talk about fashion, but actually just talk to people who aren't who aren't in your direct group of mates. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's that. Then it's also I don't know, everyone in this industry is very inspiring in one way or another. You can learn something from everybody in this industry, and whether that's a new brand or a new technique as to how something's made, or even talking about something cultural from history that can then inform a particular style story you're writing.
Yeah.
So it's a real mixture of things as to why I kind of miss that side to it, but you've got to adapt and learn and roll with it.
And do you think hopefully we'll return to that?
Yeah. When I went to the Tom Sweeney thing, it felt very normal again. There were lots of those kind of like weird handshakes, but then at the end of it, everyone was just shaking hands everywhere. So everyone's very cautious. But it felt like that. It was a real kind of. It was quite an important moment in my industry this year. But it's kind of, it feels normal. It feels like things are getting back to normal again. Shoots can happen. I mean, for ages, it was all drying up, the whole content side of this industry, because no one could do anything. And as soon as the restrictions were lifted, the slightest, I was down in Devon styling a main fashion story for a magazine. So, and that's still happening. So you still got, as long as we don't go back into lockdown and we're stuck, I think things will just carry on as normal and just gradually get better. But it's not going to be like that anytime soon.
Yeah. Maybe we can bring this interview to a gingerly hopeful end. Thank you for coming on and speaking. It's a pleasure to talk.
Likewise. Thank you very much for having me.